I am an environmentalist. 2 years ago, I started to travel by bicycle. This decision was not only to reduce my carbon footprint, but also to help me get closer to nature. I was at an intersection. Suddenly a speeding sports car hit me from behind. Both my bike and I were knocked off our feet. I remember the impact was so violent that I fell heavily to the ground. I felt severe pain and I felt that a few ribs had been broken. Fortunately, there was a traffic cop nearby. He helped call the emergency services. Since I was already in a coma, I was not clear about what happened next. Shortly after the accident, I emerged in total darkness and I lost my sense of direction. In this strange and scary place, I heard some strange noises coming from the distance. As the sound drew closer, I perceived it to be an evil creature. The creature was surrounded by flames, it had huge eyes and teeth, and it kept growling. Its eyes were full of malice, and I sensed the evil aura from it. I saw it stick out a very long red tongue. I could not move, as if there was no way to escape. The evil creature was rapidly approaching me, gaining speed. I stood helplessly in place, and all I could do was close my eyes and hope to escape this terrible threat. The creature passed through my body, and the flames around it tried to melt me. The demon let out a gleeful laugh as it seemed to enjoy the pain it was inflicting on me. I was in an endless state of despair and fear. Just at that moment, a mysterious power surrounded me. It was like a huge hand holding me tightly in its grip. I began to move upward quickly. I found two new demons approaching me. They had different colors on them, but they were equally frightening. Soon after, I came to the entrance of a black tunnel. I stood there, staring into the black tunnel, with questions and fear in my mind. I didn't know what was at the end of the tunnel, but I knew that the only way to find the answer was to go inside. I found the atmosphere inside the tunnel even more terrifying. The tunnel was very damp. The tunnel seemed to have no end, making it easy to lose one's way. Through the faint light, I saw some symbols and patterns on the walls of the tunnel. Sometimes, I felt as if these patterns were moving. The tunnel was not a very straight passage, but had various forks in the road. I lowered my head and was surprised to find that my body had disappeared and I was now a ball of light that shone blue. I noticed that there were other luminous bodies just like mine wandering through the tunnel. They emitted different colors and glows. We wandered through the tunnel at random. Suddenly, two glowing white luminaries appeared beside me. I felt the warmth and sense of security they conveyed, and I followed them onward. As I proceeded, I encountered many forks in the road. Some of them led to hell. As I approached those intersections, I heard screams. I saw a wasteland full of bubbling excrement, the stench of which was unbearable. There, the devil tortured those people in all kinds of cruel ways. They suffered endless pain and suffering. I continued to fly in the tunnel. In another tunnel, I saw a completely different scene. A group of people were walking with their heads down on a barren yellow field. Their eyes were hollow and their expressions were confused, like a group of zombies. I didn't dare to get too close to the entrance, because they gave off a disturbing aura. It was as if they were bound by some kind of power and could not get out of their predicament. I followed the white luminous bodies as they continued to advance. They entered one of the entrances, quickly. As I approached that entrance, I saw a dense forest with a huge waterfall next to it. The sun shone on the waterfall and the water droplets glittered like diamonds. I walked into this amazing forest. Some of the trees seemed to emit a colorful light. In this magical forest, I met many strange creatures. There was a creature whose whole body was covered with flower petals, each of which emitted a charming fragrance. Its eyes were a bright jewel, shining with a gentle light. It was about the size of a cat. It kept weaving in and out of the flowers. When I came close to it, it gently touched my fingers with its soft petals. There is another creature that looks like a fish, but it has a pair of translucent wings. Its scales shimmered with a seven-colored light. It flew gracefully through the air. As I approached it, it rested on my shoulder. It made a soft chirping sound. I felt a special connection with it, and it became my guide and friend in this forest. It led me through the forest. After we passed through the forest, a huge building appeared in the distance. As I approached the door of the building, two tall and majestic angels suddenly appeared. They wore white robes, and their wings glowed brightly. As I was about to walk through the door, one angel reached out and stopped me. The angel took out an ancient book with names written all over it. He pointed to the names in the book and told me that this was the list for the day, but unfortunately my name was not on it, so I could not enter yet. This news confused me. If I couldn't get in, why was I here again? The angel then took me into a room next to it. This room was like a library with books on the shelves. Some of the books were very thick, while others only had a few pages. I saw an angel standing in front of the bookshelf, holding a delicate quill in his hand, writing on a book. Curious, I approached the angel. I asked him what he was doing. He explained that he was recording each person's experience. Each book is a unique story, a precious experience. Angel asked the angel if the book of life contained everyone's experience. The angel smiled and nodded and said, yes, the book of life records each person's journey on earth, whether it be joyful or sad. Each person's thoughts, actions, and feelings are recorded in detail. The angel went on to tell me that when a person dies, their book of life will be audited. The purpose of this audit is to evaluate whether or not they can enter heaven. At the same time, the angel also reminded me that the book of life can be modified. When a person confesses to God and sincerely repents, the bad things they have done will be erased from the book. This is the opportunity that God gives to human beings. I was very shocked. No matter what faults a person has committed, he or she has the opportunity to revise his or her book of life through confession. The angel went on to explain that there are only two special dates recorded in the book of life. One is the date of birth, which marks the beginning of one's time on earth. And the other date is the day of rebirth, which represents a person's complete dedication of his or her heart to God. I asked the angel if I could look at my book of life. The angel shook his head and refused my request. He told me that although I was curious about my book of life, it was not the time for me to unveil its mysteries. He gently explained that I still had a duty and a mission on earth. My family needs me. I was disappointed and frustrated to hear such a reply. My heart longed to stay in this place. I had no intention of going anywhere else. I tried to express my confusion and longing, but the angel interrupted me. He again emphasized that it was time to leave. Although my heart yearned to stay here, the angel's words also reminded me that my family needed my company and support. I knew that leaving this place did not mean giving up, but embracing new challenges. The angel encouraged me to take what I had learned back to earth and to pass on love and kindness to those around me. The angel reached out his arm and gently touched my forehead. I felt a warm energy. He told me that God's love and guidance would always be with me wherever I went. As I left that gate, a gentle breeze blew across my cheek, seemingly a blessing from an angel. I felt a light energy envelop me. I began to descend rapidly until I was back at the hospital. My family waited anxiously in the hallway, their eyes filled with worry. My spirit was close to them, but they seemed unable to perceive my presence. I longed to communicate with them and tell them that I was okay now. I knew that I had to get back into my body right now. I focused my attention and my soul slowly began to merge into my body, and I could feel the temperature of my body. I could feel my heart beating. I slowly opened my eyes. The doctors were amazed at my awakening. They could not explain this medical miracle. But I knew that it was all by the grace of God, who had given me a second life. Although I could not describe my experience to them, I knew that this experience had really happened. I will cherish every moment of my life and pass on love and hope to those around me. My return was a miracle and a rebirth. After this experience, my life has changed dramatically. I have a deeper understanding of the meaning of life, and each day is seen as a precious gift from God. I no longer waste time on negative emotions. I realized that every moment in life is special. This experience has awakened in me a deep understanding of love. I know that love is at the heart of our lives, and that it can bring miracles. I actively pass on and share love, whether with loved ones or strangers. I am involved in charitable causes, hoping to bring warmth and comfort to those in need. I want to be a supporter and encourager in the lives of others. I understand the illusory nature of material wealth and that true wealth lies in inner satisfaction. I no longer seek personal success, but the ability to make a positive impact on the world and bring joy and change to others. At the same time, I have learned to care more for myself and take care of my physical and mental health. This experience has led me to explore religion more deeply. I sought guidance and wisdom by meditating and praying to establish a closer connection with God. I strive to be a kinder person with the guidance of my faith. I know that I am not alone and that God is with me. His love will always guide me. The book of life is real. For those of you who have done something wrong, I want to tell you that each of us has the opportunity to change and be reborn. No matter what we have been through, no matter what mistakes we have made, we all have the power to start over. We can learn from the mistakes of the past. Don't get caught up in the past and don't be bound by the way others define you. Believe in your own inner strength, in the power of goodness, and it will lead you to a better tomorrow. Remember, we all deserve a second chance because life is about the journey of change and growth. This experience of mine happened in 2011. I went through a near-death experience and I saw many things that will happen in the future. On September 3, 2011, my boyfriend and I were attending a class reunion. We had just finished college and were filled with anticipation and hope for the future. We knew that as time went on, such reunions would become less and less frequent, so many of our classmates showed up that day. That night, we met at a restaurant near the university. We shared with each other interesting stories from our college years, as well as our plans and dreams for the future. We encouraged each other to succeed in our respective paths in life. Before the party ended, we took a group photo, hoping to preserve the good memories forever. At around 12 p.m., our party was almost over. My boyfriend drank a lot of wine. Although I don't usually like him drinking, I didn't stop him, considering the special circumstances of the day. The students at the party suggested that we find a hotel room nearby and stay there. Although I didn't want to go home either, I knew my parents wouldn't approve of this. One of my classmates lives near my house, and he drove to the party. He offered to give us a ride home in his car. He said he had only had a little bit to drink and that it would not affect his driving ability. At first I refused, but my boyfriend seemed very hard to drive and it was late and cabs were not easy to get, so I agreed to his offer. I sat in the back seat, my heart feeling restless the whole time. I hoped we would get home safely. 20 minutes after we left, there was nothing dangerous going on. He kept talking to me, trying to distract me from my concerns and nervousness about the DUI. Although his reassurance had some effect, I still could not fully relax. Nearing home, my mood gradually became calmer. Suddenly, a car was approaching our vehicle so fast that we had no time to react. Then I heard a loud crash. The vehicle began to shake violently. After a while, I found myself surrounded by twisted and distorted metal and broken glass. My body felt intense pain. I looked desperately for my boyfriend. On the other side of the carriage, I saw him. After a while, I heard the sound of an ambulance. We were rushed to the hospital. When we arrived at the hospital, the doctor gave me some medicine and I gradually fell into a coma. The pain gradually decreased and my consciousness gradually blurred. In the coma, I seemed to be in an unreal world. I heard the doctor talking about my condition and that my pulse was starting to drop. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself out of my body, as if I had become an invisible observer. I walked through the walls of the operating room and then into the hospital storage room. The storage room was filled with neatly folded bed sheets and blankets. Then, I came to the hospital hallway. I saw my mother standing at the end of the hallway, her eyes red and swollen. My father was holding her hand tightly, trying to give her strength and comfort. I tried to get closer to them, to tell them I was here, but no matter how hard I tried, they couldn't seem to sense my presence. I was thinking that I needed to get back into my body as soon as possible. When I returned to the operating room, I saw the doctors working hard to resuscitate me. Just then, I noticed a tunnel appear above the operating table, which kept rotating in a clockwise direction. I was curious about what was inside that tunnel, so I went inside. The tunnel was pitch black, but wonderfully, I didn't feel afraid. On the contrary, a magical force surrounded me and made me feel very relieved. I didn't need to move on my own, a force pushed me forward through the tunnel. I felt myself going faster and faster. I saw a faint point of light appear in the distance. It emanated a soft glow. As I approached the glow, a warm energy filled my whole body. The light was brighter than the sun, but looking directly at it didn't hurt my eyes. It radiated a love that was stronger than anything I could imagine. So big that I can't describe it in words. When I came to the center of this light, I felt myself become one with the light. Here, I saw pieces of my past life. They were presented to me, allowing me to review my actions and choices. I can feel the impact, positive or negative, that my actions have had on others. I saw things that I thought were right, but from the perspective of others, I was wrong. Among these clips, there was one incident that I greatly regret. At that time, my friend asked me for help and he needed some financial support because he was in a difficult situation. I was in a position to help him, but out of selfishness, I chose to decline. I acted indifferently to his plight. I saw the look of frustration and disappointment on his face. He had trusted me so much and treated me as a friend he could rely on. This incident touched me deeply. I realized how selfish I had been. I felt ashamed of my indifference. I realized my mistake. True friendship is based on trust. My previous behavior lacked empathy and care, and I should have been more attentive to the needs of others. I saw the people I had hurt and felt their pain and confusion. I also saw the positive impact I brought to others. I see the support and help I give to others, the moments that make them feel warm and fuzzy. Here, I understood the meaning of life and the mystery of the universe. I learned how powerful love is and how it can change people's lives and make the world a better place. After it was over, I felt some tension. I thought the next step would be my judgment, and I couldn't be sure whether heaven or hell would greet me next. Suddenly, my mind was flooded with horrible images that kept flashing, and I couldn't control them. I felt scared and confused, not knowing what these images represented. When it was finally over, I asked myself deep inside, what the hell was that? While I was confused, my brain picked up some information. A voice was telling me that I would be sent back to Earth, because my time had not yet come. I understood that I didn't have a choice. I had to go back to Earth. Through that tunnel, I went back to the hospital and re-entered my body. When I woke up, I saw my parents guarding my bedside. Later, my father told me that I was the only survivor of that accident. To save my life, the doctors had to perform open-heart surgery. During the operation, my heart stopped beating. I spent more than 2 long months in the hospital. When I returned home, I began to document what I had experienced. I wrote down everything I saw, and it became my unique testimony. I realized that I had a responsibility to share this experience with others and bring them enlightenment. One of the images that stood out to me was the collapse of the world economy. In this image, I saw various countries frantically printing money to try to cope with their economic woes. This printing of unlimited amounts of money has led to a global devaluation of currencies. I could feel the desperation and unease of the people. Also, the popularity of virtual currencies has contributed to this economic crisis. As the popularity and use of virtual currencies increased, the traditional monetary system suffered a serious impact. This has triggered chaos in the global financial order. I saw a plunge in stocks and a massive loss of wealth. People lost confidence in the financial system, and the entire world was plunged into economic recession and social unrest. While virtual currencies have brought convenience and innovation in some ways, they can also be a ticking time bomb for the economic system. Next, I saw a war triggered by the economic collapse. This war quickly spread across the globe. Wars were fought between countries and within countries. The poor began to overthrow the elite by force, and the transfer of power became violent and violent. I saw riots breaking out all over the world, and no place was immune. City streets are filled with angry crowds. The riots led to a breakdown of social order. In this chaotic picture, I saw many people locked up in cages with barbed wire. These people had lost their freedom and were deprived of their basic human rights and dignity. I felt their despair and helplessness. And they became victims of the war. At the same time, I also saw the large number of refugees emerging from many cities. They have lost their homes and are looking for a chance to survive everywhere. This series of images was heartbreaking and heavy. These are the images I have seen with my own eyes. In the past, I chose to remain silent because I feared that others would see me as crazy. I also understand that these descriptions may be biased, so I try to be as accurate as possible in describing this experience. I did not know when these things would happen. These images are very shocking to me. I know that the future is complex and fluid, and it is impossible to predict exactly what will happen in the future. Everyone's perspective and experience is unique, and our views of the future may differ. But I hope that people will treat my experiences with respect, even though they may be beyond common understanding and perception.